Osho, The Messiah, Volume 2, Reflections of Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, given at the Osho Commune International, Pune, India. Discourse number 13.
Commentaries by Bhagwan Sri Rajni on Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Beloved Bhagwan. Then a hermit, who visited the city once a year, came forth and said, "Speak to us of pleasure." And he answered, saying, "Pleasure is a freedom song, but it is not freedom. It is the blossoming of your desires, but it is not their fruit. It is a depth calling unto a height, but it is not the deep, nor the high. It is the caged taking wing, but it is not space encompassed. Aye, in very truth, pleasure is a freedom song, and I fain would have you sing it with fullness of heart, yet I would not have you lose your hearts in the singing. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all, and they are judged and rebuked. I would not judge nor rebuke them. I would have them seek, for they shall find pleasure, but not her alone. 7 are her sisters, and the least of them is more beautiful than pleasure. Have you not heard of the man who was digging in the earth for roots and found a treasure? Khalil Gibran has posed every question into its right context. It is not a question coming out of the blue. It is a question representing the questioner. And he has made every effort to answer the questioner by answering his question. These are two different things. The philosophical approach towards life only answers the question. It does not matter who is asking it. The question in itself is important to the philosopher. But to the mystic, the question only is a beginning of a deep exposure of the questioner. Hence, the real answer is not arrowed towards the question, but towards the questioner. The question has its roots in the heart of the one who has asked. And unless you answer him, you have not answered. And Khalil Gibran is very careful that when he is answering the question, he should not forget the questioner. The question is superficial. The real problem is deep down in the heart of one who has asked. Then a hermit who visited the city once a year came forth and said, "Speak to us of pleasure." Does it not look very strange that a hermit should ask about pleasure? It appears, but in truth, the hermit has renounced pleasure and is tortured by his own renunciation. He cannot forget the possibility. Perhaps those who are living the life of pleasure are the right ones. Perhaps by renouncing life and its pleasures, he has simply gone wrong. And the feeling is not just a superficial thought. It is deep into his very being. Because since he has renounced pleasures, he has lost all zest for life, all will even to breathe, even to wake up in the morning. For what? Since he has renounced, he has died a kind of death. He is no more a living being. Although he breathes, eats, walks, speaks. But I say unto you, his life is only posthumous. He is like a ghost who has died long before. The moment he renounced existence, he has renounced life also. He has committed a spiritual suicide. But all the religions have been teaching nothing but spiritual suicide. They are all anti-life. And if you are anti-life, naturally the only way for you is to go on repressing your natural desires, longings. The hermit who has been praised down the ages as saint, as holy, is nothing but a repressed soul who has not allowed himself to live, who has not allowed himself to dance, to love. He is a tree which has renounced its own foliage, which has renounced its own flowers and its own fruits. Dry and juiceless, the tree stands just a faded memory. And all this has been done because there are vested interests in the world which want you just to be alive but not to live, just to survive but not in your fullness. Only at the minimum, not at the maximum. Who have turned every human being like a summertime river. They don't allow you to be flooded with rain and to have a taste of something widening, expanding. Some dream of a future meeting with the ocean. A summertime river has shrunken, has become shallow, has become broken. The hermit has died at the very center of his being. His body goes on living. But he does not know what life is. Because pleasure is the only language that life understands. Although pleasure is not the end, but it is certainly the beginning. And you cannot reach to the end if you have missed the beginning. The hermit needs all your compassion, not your worship. Your worship has been the cause of many people committing suicide, because you have been worshipping those who are renouncing pleasures. You are fulfilling their egos and destroying their soul. You are partners in a great crime. They are committing suicide, but you are also murdering them by your worship. The question coming from a hermit asking Al-Mustafa, speak to us of pleasure, is immensely significant. It needs courage even to ask such a question, as far as your so-called sages and saints are concerned. It must have been 25 years when I happened to speak in a conference. Just before me, a Jaina monk, Chandan Muni, who was very much respected by his community and religion, inaugurated the conference, and he spoke about great blissfulness, great joy in renouncing life, in renouncing the mundane, profane pleasures. I was sitting by his side, watching him, but I could not see any sign that he has known what he is talking about. He appeared dry and dead. His statements were repetitions, parrot-like from the scriptures. It was not a poetry, spontaneous, flowing like a stream from the mountains, young, fresh, singing, dancing towards the ocean. When I spoke after him, I said that the man who was speaking just now is simply a hypocrite, and he was sitting by my side. He knows nothing of ecstasy and nothing of blissfulness, because the man who has renounced pleasure has renounced the first step which leads to the final step of blissfulness. It is impossible to reach to blissfulness if you are against pleasure and against life. There was a great shock because people don't speak what they feel. People speak only what people appreciate. And I could feel the vibrations of Chandan Muni. It was a beautiful morning, cool breeze, but he was perspiring. But he was a sincere man. He did not stand up to contradict him. On the contrary, I received a messenger in the afternoon that Chandan Muni wants to meet me. And he is very sorry that he cannot come because his community will not allow it. I said, there is no problem. I am not imprisoned. My wings are not cut. I don't care about any community. I can come. So he said, first let me go and make arrangements that you can meet in privacy. I said, what is the matter? Let others be there. He said, you don't understand. Since this morning, Chandan Muni has been crying. He is 70 years old. He became a monk when he was only 12 years old. His father became a monk. The mother has died. Now where this child has to go? This was the most convenient thing, that he also becomes a monk with the father. So he became a monk. He has never known what life is. He has never played with children. He has never seen anything that can be called pleasant. So I said, okay, you go ahead and make arrangements and I am coming. still a crowd gathered. They were suspecting from the very morning that something has happened to Chandan Muni. He is not speaking and his eyes are full of tears. He had to pray to the crowd that please leave two of us alone. And he locked the doors and he said to me, it was hard to hear your words. They were like arrows going directly into my heart. But whatever you said is true. I am not as courageous as I should be. That's why I don't want anybody else to hear. But I have not known life, I have not known anything. I have only learned from scriptures, words. They are empty. And now at the age of 70, what do you suggest me to do? I think the first thing is open the doors and let the people come in. Of what you are afraid? You don't have anything to lose. You have never lived. At the age of 12, you died. Now a dead man has nothing to lose. But let them listen that they have been worshipping you, and just because of their worship, your ego was fulfilled and you managed to live this torturous life, this horrible nightmare that religions have called saintliness. It is simply pathology. He was hesitant, but still he gathered courage and opened the doors. And when the people heard that he knows nothing, rather than praising his honesty and sincerity, they all started condemning him that you have been cheating us. They threw him out of their temple. For truth, it seems there is no hope. For hypocrisy, all worship, all respectability is available. This hermit reminds me of Chandan Muni. I don't know what happened to him. But whatever may have happened must have been better than what has been happening. At least he sacrificed his respectability for being sincere, for being truthful. And this is a big step. The hermit is asking speakers of pleasure. The word pleasure is without any meaning to the hermit. He has heard only condemnation about it. He may himself been condemning it, but he has never tasted it. A beautiful story I would like to tell you. One day, in paradise, in one of the Zorba the Buddha restaurant, Gautam Buddha, Confucius, and Lao Tzu are sitting and chit-chatting. And a beautiful naked woman it is my restaurant, nobody else. And it is not in the territory of the Pune Police Commissioner. Came with a big jug and asked the three, would you like to have some juice of life? Buddha immediately closed his eyes. He said, be ashamed of yourself. You are trying to degrade us. With great effort and arduous austerities, somehow we have reached here. And you have brought juice of life. Get lost. And he said all these things with closed eyes. But Confucius kept his eyes half open, half closed. That's his whole philosophy. The golden mean. Neither this extreme nor that extreme. He said, I would like to have a little taste, because without tasting it, I cannot say anything about it. She poured in a cup the juice of life, and Confucius just sipped and gave it back to her and said, it is very bitter. Lao Tzu said, give me the whole jug. The woman said, the whole jug? Are you going to drink from the jug? He said, that's my approach to life. Unless you have drunk it in its totality, you cannot say anything about it. It may be bitter in the beginning, it may be sweet in the end. Who knows? Before the woman could say anything, he took away and just drank in one single breath the whole juice of life. And he said, Confucius, you are wrong. Everything needs a certain training in taste. It was bitter because it was unknown to you.
It was bitter because you were already prejudiced against it. Your whole talk about the golden mean is empty philosophy. I can say the more I drank of it, the sweeter it became. First, it was only pleasant. In the end, it became ecstatic. Buddha could not stand this praise of life. He simply stood up and moved out of the Zorba, the Buddha. Lao Tzu said, what happened to this fellow? He has been sitting with closed eyes. In the first place, there is no need to close your eyes. The woman is so beautiful. If it was something ugly, you can close your eyes. It is understandable. But to close your eyes to such a beautiful woman is to show insensitivity, is to show humiliation, condemnation, is to show some deep-rooted fear. Perhaps that fellow is very much repressed, and he is afraid his repression may surface. Confucius was not ready to listen to Lao Tzu because he was going too far from the golden mean. So he left out. And Lao Tzu started dancing. I have heard he is still dancing. Life has to be lived before you decide anything about it. For or against. Those who have lived it in its intensity and totality have never been against it. And those who have been against it are the people who have never lived it in its intensity, who have never allowed it their totality. They have kept themselves aloof and close. But that's what the religions have been teaching and destroying humanity. Al-Mustafa replied, pleasure is a freedom song. Very significant statements he is going to make. Pleasure is a freedom song, but it is not freedom. Pleasure is only a song, a byproduct. When you know freedom, the song will arise in you. But they are not synonymous. The song may remain silent. It depends. But you feel pleasure only when you are living a moment of freedom. Freedom from care, freedom from worries, freedom from concerns, freedom from jealousies, freedom from everything. In that moment of absolute freedom, a song arises in you. And that song is pleasure. Freedom is the mother. The song is only one of the children. There are many other children to the mother. So they are not synonymous. Freedom brings many flowers. It is only one of those flowers. And freedom brings many treasures. It is only one of those treasures. It is the blossoming of your desires, but it is not their fruit. Flowers are beautiful. You can enjoy them, appreciate them, but they cannot nourish you. They cannot become your food. You can have them for decoration, but they cannot become your blood and your bones and your marrow. What he means is, it is the blossoming of your desires, but it is not their fruit. So don't stop at pleasure. There is much more ahead. Enjoy the flowers. Collect the flowers. Make a garland of the flowers. But remember, there are fruits also. And the fruit of your ripening is not pleasure. The fruit is blissfulness. Pleasure is only a beginning. That the tree is ready. The flowers are a song to announce that the tree is pregnant and soon the fruits will be coming. Don't get lost into pleasures, but don't escape from them either. Enjoy them. But remember, there is much more to life than pleasure. Life does not end on pleasure. It only begins. The fruit is blissfulness, but pleasure gives you some taste of what is going to be ahead. It gives you a dream, a longing for more. It is a promise that just wait, fruits will be coming. Don't close your eyes to the flowers, otherwise you will never find the fruits. That's what I have been telling you again and again in different ways. My words may be different, but my song is the same. I may enter the temple from different doors, but it is the same temple. Zorba is only a flower. Buddha is the fruit. And unless you have both, you are not complete. Something is missing. There will always remain a gap in your heart, a dark corner in your soul, unless Buddha and Zorba dance together in your being, the flower and the fruit, the beginning and the end, you will not know the real meaning of existence. The meaning of existence has not to be searched by our intellect. It has to be experienced in life. It is a depth calling unto a height. The pleasure is a depth calling unto a height. Remember always that every depth is always close to a height. Only sunlit tops of mountains have deep valleys by their side. Pleasure is in the valleys. But if you have known the pleasure, it will stir your being for the longing of that far away sunlit peak. If the darkness is so beautiful, if the valley is so fulfilling, how can you contain your temptation not to reach to the heights when the depths give so much? You have to explore the heights. Pleasure is a tremendous temptation to reach to the heights. It is not against your spiritual growth. It is a friend, not a foe. And those who have denied it, they have denied the heights also. Because the heights and the valleys exist together. And the valleys have their own beauty. There is nothing sinful about it. There is nothing evil about it. Just don't get lost. Enjoy, but remain alert, because there is much more. And you should not be content with the darkness of the valley. The pleasure creates in you a spiritual discontent, that if darkness can give so much, can yield so much, what about the heights? It is a depth calling unto a height, but it is not the deep nor the high. Pleasure itself is more like plain ground. On one side is the high peak of the mountain. Because of the height, it seems to be the depth, but really it is plain ground. There are depths and there are heights. If you fall into depths, you will be falling into a painful existence, into anguish. Below pleasure is pain. Again, above pleasure is blissfulness, ecstasy. And this is unfortunate that millions of very nice people have renounced pleasure and fallen into the dark hole, bottomless, of pain, misery, austerity. But they go on consoling themselves because their scriptures go on telling them that the more you suffer, the more you will gain after the life. Nobody tells them that there is no need to wait for a paradise after life. Don't go against pleasure, but follow the pleasure into its totality, and it will start leading you by and by upwards towards the height. Here, you can be in hell, you can be in heaven. It all depends on you, where you are moving. Don't move against pleasure. Let pleasure be your arrow moving towards the stars. It is the caged taking wing. In pleasure, the caged bird grows wings, but still it is in the cage. Although now it has wings, but it has not the sky available to it. It can be said that pleasure is a caged blissfulness, and blissfulness is pleasure on the wings rising higher into the sky. When pleasure becomes free from all prisons, it goes through a transmutation, a transformation. It has the seed in it. Just somebody has to remind it that you are containing tremendous potential. It has the wings, but is not aware of its wings. To be with a master is not to learn something. To be with a master is to be infected by something. Seeing the master on the wings in the air, suddenly you become aware that I have also got the same wings. Just the master becomes a remembrance. It is not a teaching that a master transfers. It is a remembrance that he invokes. It is the caged taking wing but it is not space encompassed. So those who know pleasure have become acquainted with their wings. Now they have to find a way out of the cage. And the cage is your own homemade. It is your jealousy which you go on feeding. It is your competitiveness which you go on giving energy. It is your own ego which you don't drop and go on carrying it, howsoever heavy the burden is. The cage is not somebody else. Hence it is very easy to drop it. It happened that one of the Sufi mystics, Al-Hillaz Mansur, I love the man very much. There have been many mystics and there will be many mystics, but I don't think anybody will have the same taste as Al-Hillaz Mansur. He was rare in every sense. For example, somebody asked about him how to be free, because you all go on talking about freedom, but how to be free? He said it is very simple, just see. And they were sitting in a mosque with pillars like these. Al-Hillaz went close to a pillar, caught hold of the pillar with both hands and started shouting, "Help me! How I can be free from this pillar?" The man said, "Don't be mad. You yourself are clinging to the pillar. Nobody is doing anything. Neither the pillar is doing anything. What nonsense you are doing?" He said, "I am simply answering you. You had asked me how to be free. Have you ever asked anybody the art of not being free? That you know perfectly well. You go on creating new chains, new bondages. It is your own doing. Undo it. And it is good that it is your own doing, because you can undo it without anybody else's permission. And still Al-Hillaz was holding the pillar. The man said, "At least now I have understood the point, but please leave that pillar, because a crowd is gathering. Everybody knows you are mad, but with you, I am feeling embarrassed." He said, "If you have understood really, only then I will leave this pillar. Otherwise, I will die with this pillar." He said, "My God, to ask a question to you is to create a trouble." And the crowd is starting abusing the person, and they said, "Why you disturbed Al-Hillaz? What kind of question you have asked?" He said, "It is strange. I had asked a simple question, how to be free. And rather than answering, he went to the pillar And he is holding the pillar and he is shouting for help. That's why you all have gathered. And Al-Hillas was still shouting, help me. How I can be free? Finally the man said, forgive me. I will try. But don't make too much mockery of me. Leave that pillar. She said, what do you think? I am holding the pillar or the pillar is holding me? The man said, Mansoor, although you have become a great mystic, we are boyhood friends. We studied in the same school. Just remember of our friendship. Before this whole crowd, now the whole town is there. And they are all angry at me. This is not the way of answering a question. I was asking a philosophical question. Mansoor said, philosophical question? Then you should not come to a man like me. Philosophy is only for fools. Those who are really in quest of truth. Only they should enter into my house. This is the house of God. And I have answered you, if you want to be free, you can be free this very moment. Because you are holding all your chains as if they are not chains but ornaments. Drop them. Even if they are made of gold, they are not allowing you to be free. And they are not allowing your wings to open in the air. In very truth, pleasure is a freedom song. And I fain would have you sing it with fullness of heart. Man has forgotten completely one thing: fullness. He loves, but there is not fullness of the heart. He weeps, but the tears are shallow, perhaps only a formality. He smiles because it is expected to smile. I have heard about one boss, and he knew not more than 3 jokes. But every day, he will collect his whole office, all the clerks, head clerks, and he will tell one of those jokes, and they all will laugh as if they have never heard it. They had to, because not to laugh was an insult to the boss. One day, one typist woman did not laugh. And the boss said, what is the matter? Why are you not laughing? She said, I am resigning. I have got another job. Why should I laugh? People are laughing out of formality. Respectfulness. But this kind of laugh cannot be wholehearted. None of your action is total. That is your misery, that is your hell. A king had come to see a Zen master, and the Zen master had a beautiful garden, and just on the gate an old man was chopping wood. The king asked him, "Can I ask you, who are you?" He said, "Who am I?" "You can see a woodcutter." He said, "That's true, that I can see. But I have come to see your master." "Then my master? I don't have any master." The king thought, this man seems to be mad. But still, to complete the conversation, he said, "But this is a Zen monastery." The man said, "Maybe." So the king moved ahead, and when he reached to the house deep inside the forest, entered the house, and he saw the same woodcutter wearing the robe of the Zen monk, sitting in a Zen posture, looking really beautiful and graceful. The king looked at his face. He said, "What is the matter? Do you have a twin brother?" He said, "Perhaps." The king said, "Who is cutting wood in front of the gate?" He said, "Whoever is cutting, he is a woodcutter. And what business is to talk about a woodcutter? I am a master." The king was very much puzzled, but the master said, "Don't feel puzzled. When I am cutting wood, I am a woodcutter. I don't leave any space for anything else. And when I am a master, I am a master." You have not met two persons, you have met one person who is always total. Next time you may find me fishing in the pond. Then you will meet a fisherman. Whatever I do, I am my action in my totality. And moment to moment living life in totality is my whole teaching. Those who have known life and its mysteries are agreed upon one point, that you should be full of heart whatever you are doing. Khalil Gibran is saying, "And I fain would you have you sing it with fullness of heart. When the song of freedom happens to you, let your whole heart dance, sing. Yet I would not have you lose your hearts in the singing." This is a very strange but significant statement. seems to be contradictory. He is saying, sing the song with your fullness of heart, but still remain alert. Don't get lost. Don't stop witnessing. When your action is total and the witness is silently watching it, you will not only find the song of pleasure, you will also find something far greater, which we have been calling blissfulness. Blissfulness comes with the witness. Pleasure needs totality, but don't be lost into it. Otherwise, you will have stopped at pleasure and would not move higher than that. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all, and they are judged and rebuked, of course, by the old. The swift and the strong and the bold of step are always condemned by the crippled, criticized in many ways. It is a cover-up. The crippled person cannot accept that he is crippled, and he cannot accept that somebody else is not crippled. To cover his inferiority, he starts condemning, criticizing. The old people are continuously condemning the young seekers of pleasure, judging them as sinners, although deep down in their own being, they would have liked still to be young. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all. It is wrong to think that pleasure is all, but it is also wrong to judge and condemn them. The man who condemns them is deep down hankering for the same thing, but finds himself weaker, older, no more adequate enough. The wiser man will say, seek pleasure. There is no harm in it. But remember, this is not all, because I have known higher things, better things. But I will not stop you from seeking. Seek with the fullness of your heart. In that very fullness of the heart and that very search and the experience of pleasure, perhaps you may start looking for something higher, something better, something more alive, more beautiful, more immortal. The wise man never condemns. That is the criterion of a wise man. And those who condemn are simply otherwise, not wise. I would not judge nor rebuke them. I would have them seek. Khalil Gibran has an immense treasure of wisdom. I would not judge nor rebuke them. I would have them seek, for they shall find pleasure, but not her alone. 7 are her sisters, and the least of them is more beautiful than pleasure. Here he has referred to an Eastern tradition of Tantra, which talks about 7 chakras, 7 centers of your growth. This is something to be very carefully understood. Perhaps people who have been reading Khalil Gibran may have never bothered who are the 7 sisters. And even if they have thought about them, I don't think, unless they know something about Tantra and the Eastern findings of the inner ladder of growth, they will not be able to understand. In my university, where I used to teach, there were many professors who loved Khalil Gibran, and I have asked many of them, can you say something to me about the 7 sisters? I said, 7 sisters? I know nothing about. I said, what kind of reading you do? And Khalil Gibran is saying, and the least of them is more beautiful than pleasure. And they used to say to me that you read things in a strange way. We have passed this sentence, but the question never arose. Now that you ask, we also wonder, who are the 7 sisters? And the people in the West will be certainly unaware. If even in the East they don't know who are the 7 sisters, what to say about the West? Tantra talks about 7 centers, and the pleasure is not even the first center. Pleasure is below the first center. Pleasure is a biological phenomenon. It is your sexuality. It uses your energy, but it is a bondage with biology. Biology wants you to reproduce children because biology knows you are not dependable. You can pop out any moment. Biology has its own ways to continue the stream of life flowing. But if there was no pleasure in sexual experiences, I don't think any man or any woman would reproduce children. Then the whole thing will look so stupid. Such a strange gymnastics. And all women are aware of it. Only men are not so aware. While making love, women want to put the light off. but the man wants the light on. While making love, it is very strange to find a woman who keeps her eyes open. She closes her eyes. Let this idiot do whatever he is doing. If there was no pleasure, it is a trick and a strategy of biology. Just like giving a chocolate to a child. A little pleasure, so you can suffer the gymnastics. And slowly you become so accustomed of the chocolate. Above the pleasure center is the first chakra, which sometimes, very rarely, is experienced by accident. Because people are not aware of the whole science of Tantra. Otherwise, everybody will be able to understand the first center very easily. Just a small pleasure of making love does not take you to the first center. But if your love making brings an orgasmic explosion, but people are so quick in making love. This quickness in making love is a byproduct of your religious upbringing. Because they have been condemning sex, they have not been able to destroy it, but they have been certainly succeeded to make it soft. They have not been able to destroy it completely, but they have poisoned it. So even people, when in love, are making love, both feel ashamed, as if they are doing something ugly. So quicker it ends, the better. For biological purposes, it is perfectly okay. Biology is not interested in your orgasmic experience. But if you can prolong the process of love making, if you can make it a meditation, silent, beautiful, if you make it something sacred, that before making love you take a bath, and when you enter in your bedroom, you enter with the same feeling as you enter into the temple. Because it is a temple of love. But in the temple of love, people are fighting, quarreling, nagging, throwing blows at each other, shouting, screaming. You destroy the whole atmosphere. You should burn incense. You should play some beautiful music. You should dance. You should not be in a hurry to make love. That should be the climax of your whole game. You should meditate together. You should be silent together. You should dance together. In this dance, in this togetherness, in this singing with the incense, You must create your bedroom in a temple, and then only. You should not make an effort to make love. Let it happen spontaneously, on its own account. If it does not happen, there is no need to worry. You enjoyed the meditation, you enjoyed the dance, you enjoyed the music. It has been a beautiful experience. Leave it. Your love should not be an action. It should be a spontaneous phenomenon that surprises you. Only in that spontaneousness, love can become orgasmic. And the moment love becomes orgasmic, you have reached the first chakra. You have met the first sister, which is far more beautiful than pleasure. The first three chakras are self-centered. The first is unconscious orgasmic pleasure. The second is half conscious, half asleep. The third is fully conscious orgasmic pleasure. In the third, your love and your meditation meet. The next three, the fourth is the heart center. Only at the fourth is the beginning of a new world, the world of love. Below the fourth, it was only refinement of sexual energy. With the fourth, you transcend sex completely. It is no more refinement. You have entered into a new kind of energy. Qualitatively different from sex. It is the same energy but so refined. That the very refinement makes it a totally new phenomenon. At the fourth center, when you are entering into love, you can feel it, but you cannot express it. It is so new. You don't have any words. It is so unknown and so sudden. That time stops, mind stops. You are suddenly in a silence that you have never dreamt before. With the fifth center, expression comes into being. Love becomes creative. It may find expression in different ways in different people. It may become music, it may become poetry, it may become sculpture, it may become dance. Infinite are the possibilities. But one thing is certain, when you are at the fifth center, love becomes creative. Below the first center, love was only productive of children. At the fifth center, it becomes creative. You create new kinds of children. For the poet, his poetry is his child. For the musician, his music is his child. At the fifth center, everybody becomes a mother, a womb. These two centers, the fourth and the fifth, are centered on the other. The first three were centered on your own self. That's why sex is never a fulfillment. And sex is always a quarrel, a fight. It creates intimate enemies, not friends. Because both the partners are self-centered. They want to get more and more pleasure from the other. Both are wanting. Nobody is ready to give. The fourth and fifth change the direction. From getting, the transformation is towards giving. And in love, there is no quarrel, no jealousy, no fight. It gives freedom. It is creative. It creates something beautiful for the other, for the beloved. It may be painting, it may be music, it may be a beautiful garden. But the center is the beloved. It is not for one's own pleasure. It is for the happiness and pleasure of the other. If the other is happy, one is happy. With the sixth center, your energy enters again into a new experience. In Tantra, it is called the opening of the third eye. It is only a symbol. It means you have attained now a clarity of vision. You can see without any hindrance. On your eyes there are no more any curtains. Nothing hinders your vision. You can see without any projection. You can see things as they are, in their truth, in their beauty. It is not that you are projecting something. Before this center, everybody is projecting. Of course, there are people who will not be able to enjoy classical music because they have not been trained to project. They can only enjoy modern, contemporary Western music, which to the real musical person is nothing but insane noise, a kind of neurosis. People are jumping and screaming from Beatles to the skinheads. It is all insanity. It is not music. But to enjoy classical music, you need a certain discipline. And if you want to enjoy the music when the wind passes through the pine trees, you will need a clarity, a silence. You are not expecting anything, you are not projecting it. With the opening of the third eye, you are no more separate from the other. The first three centers, you were self-centered. With the two other centers, you were other-oriented. With the sixth, you become one with the other. There is no more separation. Lovers start feeling a kind of synchronicity. Their heartbeat has the same rhythm. They start understanding each other without saying a single word. And with the seventh, that is the highest man can rise into the body. It is called Sahasrara, the seventh center of your being. You become one with the whole universe. First, you become one with your beloved at the sixth center. At the seventh, you become one with the ultimate, with the whole. These are the seven sisters that Khalil Gibran is mentioning. And this is the whole spectrum of spiritual growth. Have you not heard of the man who was digging in the earth for roots and found a treasure? Just an ancient proverb in Lebanon. That a man was digging for roots. He was so hungry. He could not afford even to buy fruits. So he was digging for roots to eat, but he found a treasure. Referring to it, he is saying that we started by digging from the roots, pleasure. But if you go on digging, you may find treasures beyond treasures. Seven is an established fact by all the mystics of the East. With the seventh, you become absolutely free from all prisons, from all thought, from all religion, from all ideology. With the seventh, your cage has disappeared. Now you can breathe in the open sky and you can fly to the star.
Yes, Bhagavan.